listening to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Welcome to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. This is episode number 84. Got a great guest from the great state of Ohio. This is Dr. David Pope, who is the Associate Professor of Music Education at Baldwin Wallace University. And I wanted to go ahead and welcome David Pope, Dr. David Pope, to our podcast. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Charles. I look forward to this. It'll be fun.
Oh, absolutely. I probably should have had you on a while ago because we've known each other for a while. And you've just done awesome things, both in the public schools and now at the university for a while. And you're also working for Alfred, doing some stuff there and some books. So let's just get into it. Tell us a little bit about your background and where you're from and all the great things you've done so far.
Okay. Originally from Tennessee, grew up just north of you there in Atlanta. Started playing cello in fourth grade back in public schools. I was one of the old school people that when you started, you actually had the same teacher fourth grade through 12th grade.
I had similar. It was pretty close. Yes. It's like, that's how it is in those smaller districts.
It is. Yeah. The guy, the orchestra teacher there, his name was Bill Robinson. He started it back in the 70s, like 8 students. And he grew it, and did that, grew up there, loved every moment of that, then ended up going to Florida State for undergrad, University of South Carolina, then back to Florida State for a master's and then PhD.
Well, you had some great teachers. At Florida State, obviously, it's its own little semi-cult, I guess, if you will, but it's...
I won't disagree with that.
Just a bloodline of amazing pedagogues. And, obviously, you're one of those continuing that now. But just to tell us a little bit about your experience, I guess, undergraduate, and then you went to USC and studied with Gail Barnes and another great pedagogue, and then back.
Yep.
So, you've had some great pedigree.
I did. What's funny is I found Florida State, actually, and I love telling the story. I actually found it. I was a TA for the marching band when I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
And so I did it more because I could practice during the day. And so as I was doing that, I remember flipping through, like they used to have the AST journals, the magazines in a practice room sort of on a shelf. And I was probably not practicing. And so looked at those, and they had an article about like music ed, string ed programs. And I found Florida State through that. I'll be honest, I applied. I had no intention of going there, all of those things. Ended up going to Florida State, loved it. Didn't make orchestra my first semester because at that point in time, FSU only had one orchestra. So this was 1999, only one orchestra. They took like 16 cellos. There were like 22 of us in the studio. So I remember going to that semester, and this is all going to connect in a second, knocking on Michael Allen's door, who you knew and everything, and going, hey, I didn't make it in orchestra. What do I do? And he conducted the Tallahassee Youth Orchestra at the time. And apparently that was the knock that changed my life, because he told me later on, because we became really good friends, that me knocking on his door and going, hey, I didn't make it into orchestra. What do I do? How can I get involved? How can I do those things? He got me in the youth orchestra, and I played. I helped out. I was a freshman. You don't know what you don't know. I look at our current freshmen at Baldwin Wallace, and I'm just like, we have no clue. And then he kind of took me under his wing, and I worked down there with him during my undergrad, worked at the summer music camps with him and many other great people. And like summer music camps for us were truly, it was string teacher like geekdom. We never made enough money to actually break even, because after going out to eat and golfing every day with friends, it was like going to conference and just having meals with friends and watching great teachers teach.
I've heard such great things about that summer music camp. And, again, a bunch of amazing teachers have taught there or still teach there. Someplace it would be fun to go and observe and see sometime.
Yeah, Rebecca McLeod worked there, Michael Allen, Jim Palmer. There's so many people to name. Annalisa Chang, Heather Lofdahl, so many people that were just the people that are now leaders in our field. And so loved that. And then ended up going, I remember sitting in Michael's office with him talking about grad school. So it's like, I want to get better at cello. I want to get better at teaching all these things. Somehow ended up at the University of South Carolina with Gail Barnes, which was a great thing.
Yeah, and the great cello teacher. Did you study cello there too?
I did. I started with Jesselson there, and I went in with doing like the recital track and all of those things. Then Jesselson ended up going on sabbatical. So then I kind of switched. I was like, well, let's look at the research thing. I don't know anything there, and that was the switch that got me to like go PhD and everything down the line. And and then I ended up going back to Florida State to study with Michael. Got 1 year with him, unfortunately, before he passed away.
Yeah.
But that's where, I got to meet James Mick then from VanderCook College, and we were together for a couple of years, and got to lean on other people, professors down there. And David Sogan out of Kentucky came down and spent a year for a sabbatical. I don't know why he did it, but he shared an office with me for a year because for some reason I thought I had the ability to like, let's see if I can keep Michael's office. So we shared an office. And like, I think about sharing an office with a student now, it would not go well.
No, that's not good. Yeah.
I know my limitations in life.
That's amazing. So, and then as soon as you were done there, did you go back to teach public school or did you go right to the university? I forget.
So after South Carolina, I went back and taught public school at the school system I went to in Tennessee.
Okay.
At that point, it had grown, and it was a great school system. I mean, supportive other music teachers. I got to work with my teacher I had for growing up for 8-9 years.
Oh, wow.
I still struggle to call him by his first name. I'm getting better. It's only been 25 years now. Yeah. Taught there for a while, loved every minute of it. I mean, great program. The high school orchestra at that point in time when you were there, the middle school was great too. It's one of those programs you could play anything you want.
What
students took lessons? It's in Maryville, Tennessee.
Maryville, okay.
Right outside Knoxville in the east half of the state. Okay. Did that, ended up going back to grad school at Florida State for my PhD a couple of years, like 4 or 5 years later. And from there, I followed my wife around for a while, in a good way. She was in medical school. Oh, okay. So her goal was to always go to medical school. So I ended up teaching in Central Florida outside of Tampa and Manatee High School there for a while. And then followed her to Cleveland, Ohio, which nobody moves from Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida to Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, I think they had just as much snow down there probably in the last couple of days. It's been kind of wacky, right?
It is. Yeah. I look at all the weather. I'm like, yeah, they're not prepared. But we moved to Cleveland. And I'll be honest, we absolutely love it. Yeah. I mean, obviously we've got a great orchestra here, great art scene, everything like that. You've lived in Ohio, taught in a Title I district up here, loved every minute of it. I had to relearn how to teach in that district. Wow. Because things I had done in my other jobs didn't work. And I have new respect for first year teachers that get those jobs. Right.
Because they haven't had the other experiences.
Yeah. They don't know where to start. They're just going, this is what I know. And it could be nothing like what they grew up in.
What would you say were some of the biggest challenges or things that you had to get used to when you went from, I would say, a suburban or more affluent district to a Title I district? Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you would say or give, teachers who are listening that advice?
To me, it's doing everything you can to just remove the barriers and make things possible. I think about me as a young teacher. I mean, I don't know if you were like this, but like when you first get out of school, your first couple of years teaching, it's like you better be at the concert no matter what.
Oh yeah.
And now and like in teaching in the district in Ohio, it's you don't realize what the students are dealing with at home. They have to maybe babysit a sibling or other things, and is it worth losing that student over one concert? Yeah. And that was a big switch for me. And I was like that a little bit in Florida, but that was a big switch when I especially got to Ohio. I mean, I will say this, my school administration, district administration, it's in Elyria, Ohio. Right. I actually had to look up how to say it before I interviewed for the job. I had no clue.
I guess that would be a tough one.
Yeah. I'm like Elyria, no clue.
That's on the west side of Cleveland.
It's about 40 minutes west of Cleveland. Okay. I had a great school administrators. Anything I would ask for, the program grew when I got there, and anything I asked for, they would find a way to do. I remember a first concert. We had a violist. Her name was Zamaya. Love Zamaya. One of my favorite students of all time.
We're playing the concert. You can say that's your favorite student. No, I'm kidding.
I said one of.
One of. Okay, got it.
One of. We're playing the concert. She's a violist, and the plug falls out of the tip of her bow. And I'm like, how can I use this a little bit? So after the piece, we stopped. I was like, we need to go get a new bow from the orchestra room. And point out, it's like the tip broke. We need to get this. Unfortunately, Zavai didn't get to play the whole piece. Get a call from the assistant superintendent the next day. It's like, what do you need? And I think we bought 30 or 40 coda bows the next day.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I mean, in that school district, I mean, anytime, even after I quit and I told him I was coming back, I was going to work at the university, I was like, can we buy cellos? We need middle school cellos. Mm-hmm. And they bought 24 cellos.
Wow.
I mean, good violas, good violins, anything we needed. If we could show there was a need, they would support us. They never would give me a number to work with, which annoyed me a little bit,
right?
Because I'm like, I can negotiate, but they're like, you just submit what you want, and they never turned me down. So it was a great thing, and that's talking about removing the barriers in those types of things.
Yeah. That's just amazing. And I had that happen to me one time when I was at Cypress Creek High School in Florida, and I said, I'd really like to start a guitar program. So teaching piano, and it wasn't my thing. It's like, start a guitar program. And he's just like, tell me what you want. And there was like no price. We got 30 guitars, got all the stuff I needed. It's just, when you have administrators like that, that's just golden. There's no other experience that will give you, I don't know, that support and that feeling is like so good. Just like know that they have your back and they're there for you. Yeah. And it's not everybody has that. I've also been in situations where like, okay, you get $500 for the year, go.
Yeah. I've been in that one too. I mean, it's every situation is different. And as I like see social media posts on like the band directors group, the orchestra scales string teacher group and choir, whatever that I'm a member of, it disheartens me to see what some people are dealing with.
Yeah.
And you sit there and read it and you're like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. I mean, sometimes, I hate to say it, you have to fight the battles and do those things, but sometimes you just got to know when to pick up and find a more supportive place.
Right. Yeah. And I just don't know if some of those places that aren't supportive, if they ever figure it out or the programs fold or, that's just, it's hard to deal with. For sure.
I think about the old stat. If I remember correctly, somebody told me it takes 12 years to build a music program, orchestra, band, choir, whatever. It takes 2 years to destroy one.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, teacher turnover, bad administrators. I mean, it's
or
tough, but
funding things that just go downhill. So I remember when I was in Hilliard, they had cut the 5th grade program, and everybody was up in arms. We met the 5th graders twice a week. And we met the 6th graders in their 6th grade building 3 times a week. And everybody was up in arms. Oh, we can't cut the 5th grade program. And it was all, levy funding based, And the next year they said, well, 6th grade's going to meet every day, but we won't have 5th grade. And that everyday meeting, the program numbers tripled, in a very little time because you have one less building change and you're meeting every day. And that just makes a huge difference. So sometimes they can cut something and give you a little bit back, and it can get better, but doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah. Getting used to levies up in Ohio was something that took me getting. I remember you talking about it one time at an ASTA conference when you worked at Hilliard, and I remember you saying that one didn't pass. I mean, the sad thing is, I know right now the couple levies back in November didn't pass, and I know a couple districts are riffing teachers, which is growing up in Tennessee and Florida, you don't have that.
No. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the county-based funding model because you think about it, like most of our districts here in Georgia are county-based, and then you have 100,000+ students or 150,000 students, and the buying power is just there. Like you're buying, foam trays for the cafeteria, and now you can get them way cheaper. All those things, buses and whatever. So just you putting your resources together and in places like Ohio or in Midwest, there's a district in every little corner. You got a superintendent to pay, and I just think it's not as efficient,
Yeah, I remember looking for jobs up here because I was moving from Florida. My wife and I knew we were moving. I think I bookmarked every district within an hour and a half of Cleveland, and twice a week I would sit there and watch TV, the news, a movie, and just click through one at a time and look for an orchestra job.
And they're hard to find.
Yeah, versus like Florida, you look at Orange County. How many schools are in Orlando? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and in larger districts too, unless you're like a charter district, but it's kind of across the board. Like every school is going to have orchestra if they have it at one school, and it's not that way in those little districts because growing up in Mentor, Ohio, east of Cleveland, we were the only district in our county that actually had orchestra. So I feel thankful that I was I guess I grew up there, and that's the opportunity I was given. Otherwise, I don't know what I'd be doing.
Yeah. So. Well, just, Minter High School is 7 minutes down the road from me right here.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I'm right on the cusp of Minter where I live.
They built that Fine Arts Center the year after I graduated, of course. So I did all my concerts in the gym. So I know what it's like when say, well, we have all of our concerts in the gym. I know what that's like. We had to put down these heavy canvas tarps, and we had to clean them up at the end. We had to fold them a certain way. It was a big ordeal.
And hope you don't scratch the floor with the cello or bass and pin.
That's right. Otherwise, you're in for it, aren't you? With the athletic.
Like the marching bands using the real football field. You know the rules.
Right. Wow. So cool. And then, so then you went to the university, and it was a great opportunity. Obviously, Baldwin Wallace it's actually a conservatory, right? It's a private school, but a conservatory. And tell us a little bit about your program there.
So, first of all, I never thought I would end up teaching at a university. I remember having that conversation with Michael Allen, and I was like, when I went back to grad school, I was like, I never want to teach in a university. One of the things I love about my job is we have a great supportive community art school. Mm-hmm. And so when I was teaching in Elyria, they do summer camps at Baldwin Wallace, like most colleges. And they were really supportive of the students. They got grants and funding to let most of my Title I students that wanted to go. Like we had 27 students 1 year go to summer camp. 26 got full scholarships. 1 got a half scholarship.
Amazing.
And to me, they put their money where their mouth was with funding and things like that to support lower income students. So it was an instrumental music ed job, as you know, in our world. If it says instrumental, that's usually code for band.
With maybe some orchestra in there, right?
Yeah, I applied. I had no real I don't know what would happen. So, but ended up there. Absolutely love it. Got great students, got a great, we've had some great orchestra directors since I've been there.
Yeah.
Started off with Sue Hahn, who was a great friend.
Okay. Nah.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
He's not very good at Monopoly, I'll say that.
Okay. Played.
He became Sarah's, my wife Sarah's, and we became the COVID bubble together.
Okay.
We had holidays and all those things. And then after he decided to go to George Mason, we had David Becker for a year.
Legendary.
Just sitting and talking to him every month or every couple of weeks for lunch or dinner, it's just like, tell me about Marvin Rabin. Tell me about Phyllis Young. Yeah.
The stories
it was amazing.
The stories have to be just incredible. Wow.
Yeah. And now we're lucky enough to have Doug Drosty, who came over. Right. So, no, it's a great place. As I said, I love it because we get really good students. They get, unlike a normal traditional university, they get to focus more on the music side.
Okay.
And we've got to change our curriculum a lot since I've been there, which, as you know, in higher ed is almost impossible to do.
Yeah.
The fact that we're a smaller school helps the cause. We got to change things and add courses and fill holes where nothing I learned, the holes that I had from undergrad.
Yeah.
Or people that I talked to are like, hey, I wish I would have learned this. For example, we now have a school class called School Music Program Administration. Everything that goes into teaching except teaching. How do you run a program? How do you recruit? What does concert night look like from the teacher's perspective?
Those are things that most teachers have to figure out in the trenches, and it's not easy. And I'm still trying to figure some of these things out.
Oh yeah. Trust me, I am too. One of the other things they do in that class, they actually plan and take a field trip where they make pitches. We were supposed to do it on Monday, but we got or today, sorry, but we got cold weathered out.
Right.
And so they pitch where we're going to go. They come up with a budget. Myself and a colleague go. We drive the school vans or whatever. I take the school credit card and make sure nobody dies. But we let them plan things. If it goes wrong, they have to live with that.
Yeah.
We make sure nobody gets hurt, but they're in charge of everything. They have to deal with medications, housing, room assignments. Somebody's going to make sure that we're taking attendance every time we stop and all. So we figure if they can plan this and do this, they can do a day trip to see the Cleveland Orchestra or MPA for the day.
That is amazing. Yeah.
Again, all things that no one's ever taught me, because I think about me as a 23-year-old in my first field trip with 250 middle schoolers with me and 5 other adults. I could barely take care of myself.
Yeah.
I really enjoy my job. I love what I do. I openly say this. I don't feel like I work for a living. Because I'm getting paid to do what I love to do. And so I really enjoy that.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. And there's so many people out there that work jobs that they absolutely hate. I just can't imagine getting up every day to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it also puts in perspective, my wife being an ER physician, I know what she deals with.
Oh, yeah.
And when a kid misses a C sharp, and I compare it to what she's telling me when she gets home, and she doesn't tell me a lot, because if she tells me gory things, I'll pass out.
Yeah.
But it does put in perspective a lot of things of what we do, and it makes you think about some things.
Yeah. And then, so you are just on the west side of Cleveland, or is that right?
I live on the east side of Cleveland, just east of downtown.
No, your university.
Oh, university is a little southwest of Cleveland.
Okay. And then
about 20 minutes from downtown.
And I'm just putting in a plug for your school. You guys have some scholarships and different things that are available. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we have academic scholarships, music scholarships.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great small school. Our school is like 3,500 people total across campus. Mm-hmm. One-on-one attention. You're never taught by a grad student or anything like that. Yeah. I'll be honest. What I love about my music ed colleagues, it's a lot like the high school band room. Our doors are always open. Mm-hmm. I mean, I smile like today I was at school for a little bit, and you walk down the music ed hallway and all four of our doors are open.
Yeah.
And it's that walk-in policy of just like, if you need something, come ask.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, having a smaller school, I don't know, at least for me, for undergraduate, we had about 200 music majors at Ohio U when I went there. And for me, I never had a grad student for anything. And I always had, I took trombone lessons from Reginald Fink, who is was a student of Remington. Just amazing opportunities when you go to that a little bit smaller school. And so your website for your university is bw.edu, right?
It is, yes.
It's nice and short. Baldwin Wallace University, bw.edu. Check it out. Check out their music program. And it'd be, if you're interested in studying with David or just whatever, great place to go. Yeah, and I've heard nothing but awesome things about the school. And
it is. We've got it's a great music ed program. We've got 90 music ed majors between, which is for a small school. I mean, the Conservatory is a little over 300 students. We're about a third of that. Got a great music theater program. Applied faculty. Many of them are members of the Cleveland Orchestra.
Very nice.
I am jealous of our students. They can get a Cleveland Orchestra pass for unlimited tickets for $50 for a year.
Wow.
And literally go to every concert for a year for $50. I'm like, can I sign up for grad credit somewhere and just get that?
Wow. Yeah, that's a great deal. And it's one of the best orchestras in the country right there in your back door. So I remember going a few times growing up, and it was inspirational for me.
Yeah. Their string sound is amazing. Their whole orchestra is amazing, but the string sound especially it's so clean.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. And then tell us, I know you did some work for Alfred, and you actually were co-author of some books and things. Tell us a little bit about some of your projects or publications or whatever you're working on.
Mostly for Alfred, I'm a string clinician. I've done a couple projects with them. I was a co-author with a bunch of other people for Sound Orchestra that came out a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Actually started that the December before COVID hit. And it was written as a method book for ensemble development that can be used for string orchestra alone, full orchestra, or Franken orchestra, anything in between, which became very popular during COVID. Right. So that was pure luck. But did that project, loved it. One of the hardest things I've ever done was I wrote a cello solo for Make Music Cloud or Smart Music back in the day. Okay, I've learned I am not good at writing long things, so that I did that. But I mean, I feel lucky to work for Alfred. I mean, and get to collaborate with them. I was lucky enough. How it happened, I was presented at the Aston National Conference in Tampa when it was there. I was in one of the side rooms with the pirate ship outside. And I'm like, why would anyone pay attention to me when there's a pirate ship? Bob Phillips went to one of my sessions, and afterwards he sat like the second row, first off. Okay. That's going to make anyone nervous.
Right.
Yeah, you're like, I'm like 27 years old, and Bob Phillips is in the second row. You're like, what am I getting myself into? And then afterwards, he's like, we need to talk for a minute. And that's when your heart drops because you're like, what did I do? Is he going to take back my college degree? And then he asked me, he's like, hey, would you be interested in doing some things with us? And luckily, it's been a really good relationship with Alfred. And having Bob as a mentor and many others,
right.
I feel just truly honored and humbled to be anywhere in that circle.
Even though I'm with Hal Leonard, you're with Alfred. The good thing is we're kind of all here for the same reason, and especially for a clinician, we're here just to spread the love of orchestra and give strategies and help people out. And it's just been really cool to be able to be get to know you, and then of course Bob Phillips and my Bob Gillespie. Like those. Like the Bobs, it's just been awesome to be able to have those mentors and colleagues, just to be able to get guidance from, learn from. I mean, yeah, that's awesome.
I've gone to many meals with them and other people, Steve Benham. I mean, people that I should not be hanging out with at all. And you sit there and I've just learned, shut up and listen.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to learn so much just by listening to them and hearing their stories and picking those things up. And that's one of the things I love about conferences. Ask the National Conference, TMEA, Ohio's conference, GMEA, where you're at, is just the stories and the things you can pick up outside the formal clinician room, the clinic rooms, and those things.
I mean, those organizations really have shaped me as a teacher, and if you have never been to, especially ASTA, it's time to go. Like I know it's expensive, but it's definitely worth it. You'll get so much out of it, and not just in going to the clinics, but also just the people that you get to meet and people you get to hang out with, and like you said, just that networking of just meeting people and listening and figuring out. And you'll find that there's a lot of people in the same boat as you that you may not realize that are there, and that's, for me, that's one of my favorite things about going, is just getting to see people that I know for a long time and don't get to see all the time, or meeting new people, Yeah.
Then you walk down the hallway and you're like, oh, there's Richard Meyer, or there's Susan Day, or Bob Phillips, Bob Gillespie, Rebecca McLeod.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think one of my favorite ASTA sessions, it was in Louisville the first time we were there. It was Richard Meyer leading a reading session of his own music. Literally, I saw people run to the front to get in the demo orchestra. And afterward, there was a line 100 people long getting autographs.
Yeah. I mean, he's legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're working on one of his, I don't know if you've played Mirage.
Yes.
It's so cool with the glissandi in there. And the students at first were kind of like, I'm not sure about this piece, and you got all those low fours and alternate fingerings you have to do. And, but man, they're tearing it up, and his music just captivates kids to want to work hard, Yeah. It's one example,
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I taught at VanderCook part-time for their summer program at one point, and I did a class on repertoire, and I would bring in a composer every week, and we had Richard Meyer come in one week. We Zoomed in or whatever the old school version of Zoom was, and he was talking about Dragon Hunter. And if I remember correctly, the story he's like, I wrote it on a Saturday in 2 hours to see if I could write a piece with 8 notes only. And I'm like, 2 hours, 8 notes only. It's your best. I'm assuming it's your best-selling piece.
It's got to be his best-selling piece. Yeah. 8 notes. I mean, you figure out the dollar amount per note. That's pretty good money.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's just super, super inspirational. I know you're going to be at Texas around the same time I'm going to be there. At least I'll be there Thursday, Friday at TMEA. The 13th and 14th, I think that's what it is.
One week at a time, Charles. That's all I can survive off.
But what are you presenting in Texas? Do you remember?
I think I'm presenting on sight reading in Texas.
Cool.
Just because I know that's something everything I present on is something my students struggle with. And so, so I'll share ideas of like, how did I get my students better at sight reading? How did I help solve that? And as you know, we borrow ideas from other people and give credit from them, because I don't want to say there's not a lot of originality left in our field. There are a lot of original ideas, but we also take other people's ideas and twist them and theme on variations.
Yeah.
And so doing that, I'm lucky enough I'm going to Colorado's conference next week.
Oh, cool.
I know that's at the Broadmoor Hotel in Colorado Springs, and it's like the one everybody's like, this is the bougie hotel that everybody wants to stay at.
Wow. Fantastic. That's awesome.
This will be my second time there, but I'm looking forward to that. And then I have Ohio's conference literally down the road in Cleveland a couple weeks after, week after.
Very cool.
So,
yeah. And I have my large group of performance evaluation February 10th and 11th, and these snow days and closings are not helping my prep. So I'm getting a little
learn that. I had to learn that when I moved to Ohio. My first year in Ohio, I took my groups to festival every year. Is we missed the first 7 or 8 days back in January, not because of snow, because of cold temperatures. Yeah. Apparently my school system didn't have busing for our high school, just middle school.
Oh.
So, and I'm assuming they did for elementary, but I didn't work in elementary. But if it's -11, it's not safe to walk to school. -10, you can walk to school.
Right. I'm like, that
really?
Cut off that threshold somewhere. Yeah, we were at 14 this morning in Atlanta, and that's kind of unprecedented for us. And we didn't get the snow that Florida got, which is weird to say. But, it was really cold, so we were on a 2-hour delay today, canceled yesterday, and we've had one snow day first week back, too, in beginning of January. So it's been 2.5 or so days now, and it's, every minute counts when you're getting ready for the large group performance fight, especially being it so early. I think we're one of the first ones in Georgia that goes, so it's one of those things, but...
Well, it moving from Florida to Ohio and dealing with snow days like that, it made me reevaluate how I choose music and how you're planning ahead for long-term planning.
I will be doing some things differently, including moving my winter concert out. We usually do it in December, and I was talking to the students. I'm like, "You all really stressed out right now, right?" They're like, "Yeah, we got finals coming up." I'm like, "Okay, we're going to move that winter concert. It's not really going to be winter. It's going to be right before Thanksgiving. We're going to do that, and we'll do still our holiday music, but it'll be small groups and a different format, But these kids just get so stressed out for their exams, particularly, that we're going to move that up a little bit, and then we can start our large group music just a little bit earlier, I guess, before we go on break. So we have less to stress about when we get back in January.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
One of my high schools I taught at the end of this, end of course exams, AP exams, all of those things. I think we did our spring concert in early April.
Yeah.
Because that school had a policy of if you have an end of course exam, you don't have to come to school.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay. Yeah.
So you once early April hit, you're like, okay, I guess we're done. I mean, the end of the school year was very stress free when I learned move the concert up.
Right. Yeah. We have ours the 17th or 22nd or somewhere in there. And then the testing starts and the AP testing and then senioritis, it gets really rampant in May too. So you just try to not get that done. And we do small groups and some ensembles and things in May, and then a end of the year recital in class, and that's it. So. Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, it was when I was teaching in Florida. What I didn't understand, students would skip class and go to the beach.
Florida. Yeah.
I'm like, I taught in Tennessee before that. I was like, that's just a novel foreign concept to me. Let's go to the beach after school.
Yeah.
I was like, so it's you have to adapt to every situation.
Every place is a little different. That's right. Right. So, well, hey, this has been super fun. I appreciate you coming on and taking the time to chat with us. You're available for conducting gigs and PD and all this stuff. So definitely, I'll put your information up in the podcast description. But David, thanks so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it, and it's been fun getting to catch up a little bit.
Charles, I appreciate it, and thank you for all you're doing for music education. Love the podcast and everything else you're doing. You are carrying the torch in many different areas with what you do. So thank you for everything you do.
It's a lot of fun, and again, sometimes it's meeting new people, and sometimes it's just catching up with friends. So we appreciate it, and everybody, thanks again for listening in, and we will see you all next time on the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. For resources and more information, visit orchestrateacher.net.